Penguin Random House Audio presents Be Who You Are to Get What You Want, a way to negotiate for anyone who's ever been underestimated. Read for you by the author, Damali Peterman.
This book is dedicated to my mother, Barbara, who always encourages me to be who I am to get what I want. This book is also dedicated to my sons, Chase and Cole, who continuously inspire me to do more to make the world a better place. Author's Note: I am honored that you are holding my book in your hands. I believe that you, yes you, will find something in these pages that will help you navigate your life more smoothly. This book is definitely for a Black readership. It's also definitely for a non-Black readership. How can these two things both be true? I love a good paradox. What this book is really about is how to use your gifts regardless of your race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, job, and age, and the intersectionality of all of the above, to be the best negotiator you can be, even when the odds are against you. If you've ever walked into a negotiation and felt that there were other unspoken factors at work, this book is for you. I bring to this book a wealth of knowledge derived from both my personal and professional life. The stories are drawn from my own experiences and the experiences of those whom I know and have supported. In many cases, I have changed identifying details, such as names, pronouns, professions, locations, and/or the specifics of the conflicts to protect the privacy of the individuals involved. I have gone to great lengths to disguise identities and recognizable details, sometimes creating composites from a variety of profiles. I carefully considered each change and found a balance between shielding characteristics and sharing relatable stories for you to connect with on a multitude of different levels. In other words, if you see yourself in or find yourself gravitating toward any of the stories that unfold in the following pages, please know that it is both coincidental and intentional. It means my goal has been accomplished. If you are holding this book, know that it is 100% written with you in mind. I wrote this book to challenge the notion that a one-size-fits-all approach to negotiation works. The only constant in any negotiation is you. By the time you finish this book, you will have a toolkit full of easily implementable tools, greater awareness of your negotiation superpowers, some good stories to tell, and a few laughs along the way. Part 1. The Basics. Chapter 1. Negotiation isn't the same for everyone. Why one-size-fits-all negotiation fails. It happened again. I needed to buy a new car and was prepared and expected to get the best deal possible. I had learned the secrets from top-selling negotiation books. William Ury and Roger Fisher told me I can get to yes by getting past no. Alexandra Carter reminded me to ask for more. And Chris Voss told me to never split the difference, even giving me a specific script to use for my car buying scenario. I'd completed an 8-week online negotiation mastery course at Harvard Business School. Plus, I had a successful career as a lawyer and a mediator, using my own hard-won negotiation skills day in and day out to get the best results for my clients. I walked into the dealership confident, informed, and excited. I knew what I wanted, I knew what price I needed, and I had the tools to succeed. What could go wrong? Everything. When the salesman quoted a too high price, I mirrored Voss's tactical empathy strategy, pursed my lips, lowered my voice, and replied, "That sounds great, but "I'm sorry, I can't do that." The salesman froze. "Okay," he said, and that was it. Nothing followed, no counteroffer, no further conversation. And this was well before car shortages and supply chain issues caused by the global COVID-19 pandemic emboldened car dealers to stick to the manufacturer's suggested retail price because supply and demand was in their favor. Old-fashioned haggling over numbers was still the norm. But he refused to negotiate with me. He wasn't even giving me a "let me see what I can do" type of okay. It was just a resigned shrug. It was the same shrug I saw him exchange with another salesman when I walked in, as if he had drawn the short straw to have to attend to me. I was dressed quite nicely, but not over the top. I'd walked into the dealership that day ready to buy. What could he possibly be thinking? Why wouldn't he negotiate with me? Wait, did he actually believe that I couldn't afford this car? Voss's book didn't quite anticipate that scenario, so I persisted, feeding him the lines I had expected to hear from him. "Why don't you talk to your manager and see what he can do?" I suggested, because I really like this car. A few minutes later, the nonplussed salesman came back with his offer. "My manager is feeling generous today. He's going to take off $250. $250 off of a new car? That's it? The shoes I was wearing that day cost more than that discount." Still, following my script, I replied, "I'm happy your manager is in a generous mood today, but that isn't the price I had in mind. Is there anything else you can do?" He did the obligatory walk back to the office and returned with a "that's the best we can do." There was no negotiation, no engagement. He never even asked me what I wanted to pay. Our conversation was over. With that, he let me, or rather encouraged me, to leave the lot empty-handed. So I did. As I thought about it later, I realized that he had truly believed me when I said I couldn't meet his price. It was one of the most confusing conversations I'd ever had, and I have conducted negotiations everywhere, from rainforests in Heredia, hostels in Vienna, and clothing manufacturers in Shanghai, to markets in Accra, boardrooms in Mexico City, and universities in Ahmedabad. As CEO and founder of Breakthrough ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution, a global conflict resolution company, I find myself smack in the middle of conflict daily. I know how to negotiate, but somehow, when it came to this kind of real-world, everyday negotiation, I abandoned my instincts and followed someone else's script. Why didn't it work for me? Because at the end of the day, when I step into a negotiation, there are different forces at work than there are for people like Chris Voss, Roger Fisher, William Ury, Alexandra Carter, and many of the other smart, accomplished, and well-respected voices in the negotiation space. Of course this plan didn't work. Why? Because I was negotiating while Black, and as a woman, and as a young-ish person, and as a whole bunch of other characteristics that are specific to me. For as much wisdom and insight as those books offered, I was facing a kind of implicit bias that the scripts in the other negotiation books just didn't consider. Those strategies failed me because they didn't address the additional hurdle or several that I have to overcome before I can even show up as my authentic self at the negotiating table. I needed a different game plan. Why one-size-fits-all negotiation fails. Of course, this isn't a situation that's unique to me. If you've ever gone into a car dealership or sought to lease or buy a property, discussed your salary, or attempted to buy anything from a street vendor and tried to negotiate with some standardized bag of tricks only to come out with some
Sample complete. Ready to continue?